Welcome to today's explainer. If you have absolutely zero technical experience, but you're sitting on a brilliant idea for an app, a tool, or some kind of software product, you are exactly in the right place. Today, I'm going to enthusiastically frame every single one of you as the future CEOs of your own software projects. We are going to completely strip away all the intimidation, all the tech jargon, and all the mystery around this massive social media trend known as vibe coding. By the end of this explainer, you're going to have an exact step-by-step guide to take that idea out of your head and build it into reality without writing a single line of code. Okay, let's dive into this. Right now, your social media feeds are probably totally dominated by people showing off complex dashboards, incredibly useful tools, and even highly profitable full production apps that they claim they built with zero coding experience. If you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by all that noise, or kind of feeling like you're falling behind some tech-savvy elite, I want you to just take a deep breath. Don't worry. The process they are using is surprisingly straightforward once you see the mechanics behind it. It isn't magic, it's just a completely new way of working. Let's demystify this massive buzzword right out of the gate. Vibe coding simply means building apps, tools, and dashboards using natural language instead of actually writing code yourself. That's it. It literally just means speaking in plain English to create software. You don't need to go learn Python or JavaScript or C++. You just need to know how to talk to an AI as if you were talking to a human employee. This effectively replaces the need for an incredibly expensive development team, totally tearing down the financial and technical barriers that used to stop great ideas right in their tracks. So here's our clear roadmap for this explainer. First, demystifying vibe coding. Second, setting up your workspace. Third, meet your AI team. Fourth, the blueprint step. Fifth, the execution step. And finally, iteration and saving money. Let's jump into step 1, demystifying vibe coding. There are a lot of ways people are trying to vibe code right now, but we are using what we call the killer combo. This specific workflow is the definitive method that makes the whole process entirely accessible for people with absolutely zero experience. The ultimate goal here is to build tools via natural language. Now, you might be wondering, hey, can't I just ask ChatGPT to build me an app? Well, standard ChatGPT actually really struggles to build and deploy full complex apps autonomously. It kind of just spits out disjointed snippets of code that a beginner won't know what to do with. That is exactly why we use this killer combo workflow. It overcomes those standard limits because it's powered by Google Antigravity, and it utilizes the combined strengths of two different AI models working together, Gemini 3 Pro and Claude Code. They're going to do all the heavy lifting for you. Moving on to step 2, setting up your workspace. We are about to build your new virtual office, and I promise you it's as easy as downloading a standard program like a web browser. The foundation of this virtual office is Google Antigravity. Let's bust some jargon right here. Techies will call this an IDE, or Integrated Development Environment. But for you, the manager, it's simply an agentic workspace. Unlike traditional code editors that just assume you know how to program, Antigravity is specifically designed for natural language interaction. It's a super user-friendly workspace where you just converse with your AI in plain English, and the software handles all the complicated, messy file management completely in the background. Here are the exact 3 steps to get your office ready. First, you download and install Google Antigravity. Second, you go to the Extensions tab, search for Claude Code for VS Code, and add it. It integrates seamlessly. Third, you initialize your project by creating a folder, and then you open the terminal. You can pop that open by pressing Control and the backtick key. Now, I really want you to think of this terminal as your walkie-talkie. When you type Claude into that terminal and log in with your Claude Pro subscription, you are establishing a direct line straight to your virtual engineer. All right, step 3, meet your AI team. Now that the virtual office is perfectly set up, it's time to meet your staff. This is the core mental model of this entire explainer. You are no longer a beginner trying to code. You are the manager. You are hiring a dual AI workflow to perfectly replicate a real-world professional engineering team. And this brilliantly illustrates your new organizational chart. First, you have the architect, Gemini 3 Pro. Gemini handles the high-level logic, the blueprints, and the requirements gathering. Then you have the engineer, Claude Code. Claude lives down in that terminal walkie-talkie we just opened. Claude autonomously executes tasks, writes the actual code, debugs, and runs the application. So basically, Gemini maps out the plan, and Claude swings the hammer to build the databases and APIs. Which brings us to step 4, the blueprint step. With the team assembled, let's get into the actual creation process. As the CEO, you don't just walk onto a construction site and yell, build, right? You start by giving detailed instructions to your architect, Gemini. You'll explain your app's core features in plain English. But then, and pay attention, this is absolutely crucial, you must add this exact prompt. Do not write the code. Create a step-by-step task list and architecture plan that Claude Code can read and execute. You tell Gemini to put this in a new folder. This is vital because it stops the AI from just spitting out useless raw code that you won't understand, and instead forces it to create a structured, professional plan that your engineer can actually follow. Next up, step 5, the execution step. Once Gemini has generated that gorgeous, detailed architectural plan and saved it in your project folder, it's time to hand those blueprints over to your engineer, Claude, who is waiting for your orders down in the terminal. You'll hop on that walkie-talkie and type this exact natural language sentence. Hey, Claude, check the implementation plan in the folder created by Gemini, read it, understand the requirements, and execute the code step by step. The moment you hit enter, something incredible happens. Claude triggers into an autonomous agent. It will read the plan, set up the environment, write the necessary files, and literally start running the server. You get to sit back like a true CEO and watch your virtual engineer build your app right in front of your eyes. And finally, step 6, iteration and saving money. As amazing as this virtual team is, being a good manager also means keeping a really close eye on the budget. Claude Code is an incredibly powerful executing agent, but that power is credit-intensive based on your subscription. You really need to learn how to manage your team efficiently so you don't burn through expensive API credits unnecessarily. So the crucial point is understanding exactly when to deploy which AI. If you need complex logic, stuff like setting up a database, user authentication, or a payment processor, you must use Claude Code. It has a high cost impact, but it's the only one for the heavy lifting. However, if you just want to make trivial changes, like, changing the color of a button, updating some text, adding a simple input box, use Gemini 3 Pro. Gemini is incredibly smart at reasoning and does not consume your precious Claude credits. Here's a massive pro tip for you. You can literally have Gemini write the simple code for a color change directly into a file's comments. Then just hop on the walkie-talkie and tell Claude, apply the changes found in the comments. It saves tons of credits and keeps your project moving super swiftly. Let's just take a step back for a second and look at what you've achieved here. You started this explainer with zero code and zero experience. By simply setting up an agentic workspace and learning how to communicate with an architect and an engineer using everyday natural language, you are now the CEO of your very own AI engineering team. The technical barrier to building software is officially gone. Poof. The only limit now is your imagination, which leaves me with one final provocative question for you to ponder today. With an entire engineering team sitting right at your fingertips, what will you build first?